Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Okay, so today my topic is feminist woman master the art of dying alone. Feminist woman master the art of dying alone. Now, what do I mean by that? A lot of people now in today's day know that a lot of feminist women, a feminist woman, spends a lot of time fighting and fighting men, right? They almost look for trigger words that a man says. Now, if a man is talking about a woman and says, "Oh, women don't do this and women don't do that," the first thing a feminist woman look to do is to flip it backwards and turn it back on him. Well, men don't do this and men don't do that and men ain't shit and man can do this and man ain't do that. I ain't gonna do shit for a man. I can do better all by myself. I don't need a man. That's the word of a feminist woman. That's their response, and that's how they conduct themselves, and that's how they behave. They're very argumentative. They're very, combative. They're bitter. They're angry. And they're normally operating from a very negative and very dark place. These women get into relationships and they do too much in the relationship, and then when they bend over backward in that relationship and the men end up cheating and doing stuff on them and they either dump them or the relationship they break up, they get angry, they get bitter. And what they don't do is they don't take responsibility. Now, how a lot of women find themselves in the a part of the feminist movement is because of choices, right? These women are kind of like a 16-year-old boy who dad went out and get him a high-powered Ferrari because he got his license on his 16th birthday. Now, a young boy, you give that young boy that much power, he goes on a freeway and he's driving along, and then some guy in a Ford Mustang pulls up, revs his engine, and takes off. Now, what you think a 16-year-old boy sitting on that much power is going to do? You think he's going to let this go by and just continue driving? No. He's high on testosterone, his ego is going to get upset, and then he's going to step on the pedal to the metal, and he's just going to go by and he's going to blow by that guy in the Mustang to show him, I got the bigger balls here. I am the big boy in the road. And he's going to look in the rear view mirror and see that car get smaller and smaller and smaller until he no longer is a pair. Now, as he's going along, he's doing wave on the speed limit, he's just zipping in and out of traffic, and zipping out of traffic gives him the power. He gets more empowered, he's getting more bold. So now he just cranks it up. He's pedal to the metal, and he's going so fast that he missed the cop perched up under the bridge, clocking him doing way over the speed limit. Now, when that happens, one of two things are going to happen in that instance. One, which would be the best case scenario, and at this point, there's no best case scenario. But one, the cop is going to pull him over, impound the car, suspend his license, and jack up daddy insurance. Right? Or two, which most women end up in, is crash and burn, right? They go so fast in the relationship, in the first stage of the relationship, that they miss all the red flags because they're going so fast because they're focusing on marry me, marry me, marry me, marry me. And because they focus on marry me, marry me, marry me, they have tunnel vision, and all they see is give me the ring, give me the ring, give me the ring. And because their focus is on give me the ring, they miss the red flags. Because they want him to put a ring on it so bad, they miss the red flags. And then, when all came crumbling down, they come out of a relationship bitter and angry, and they blame him, and they blame all men now because of choices they make in that relationship by going so fast, doing so much so soon, that when the guy ended up being a cheater, abuse, or had 10 other women on the side, or had 15 baby mamas now, they get mad. They felt that they were duped and they were lied to. But the problem is, you were going too fast, you miss the signs. You see, when you're around somebody long enough, you start to know who they are. You start to see things that kind of tells you who they are. Because it's like giving a kid a biscuit, right? And you give this kid this biscuit and he just takes off and he wanders off somewhere. And you call him for that kid, you can't hear that kid. And you call and you can't hear him. You look on the ground, you see the crumbs, and you're like, wait a minute. And you start following the crumbs. And as soon as you follow that crumbs, it leads you straight to that kid. People are like that. People drop clues, right? When you're around someone long enough, you can get to know who they are. That's why I don't buy into this Kevin Samuels theory that, marry a woman in 6 months, because you will never know somebody in 6 months. I don't buy that. To me, that's why I call bullshit on that, because you're not around somebody long enough to know them in 6 months. right? So when these women get in the relationship, they go so fast that they miss so much clues to tell you who this guy is. And as a result of that, they end up crashing and burn, because when they find out certain things now and they get dumped, they got dropped, or they break up in the relationship because maybe they were cheated on or whatever, then they get bitter and angry. And now every man are assholes. And then the next guy she dates now, he's on 100%. He's under a microscope, and she watching everything she do, and she's like waiting for him to fuck up so she can bounce. It's like Chris Brown said in that song Deuces. It says, "You ain't nothing but a vulture waiting for me to fuck up." Basically waiting for you to mess up so I can go. And then that's how they live their life. And before you know it, they see no man as good, because they're not a good woman to attract good man anyway. They're attracting no good man because they're no good woman. And they don't take responsibility for that, because you see, what you have to do in a relationship, whenever your one relationship ends, instead of jumping another relationship, how about taking some me time? How about taking some work on me time? How about, seeing a therapist and work on your issues? How about fixing you? No, they don't do that. They jump into the next relationship hoping that the next guy should supposed to fix her, hoping the next guy should appease her insecurity, hoping the next guy should appease her jealousy, hoping the next guy is supposed to fix what the last guy did. And that's a very, very big problem. That's a recipe for disaster. And because these women are not checking themselves and looking at themselves when the relationship ends, then they're going to have an issue against men. Because when you're not looking at yourself, when you're not flipping the mirror back on yourself to see what you're doing, it's easy to blame it on the other man. And the delusional, shit that these women talk about is, "I'm a strong, independent woman." Bullshit. That's such bullshit, because somebody who's strong don't blame anybody else. Somebody who's strong don't have bitter and angry. Somebody who's strong or not insecure. Somebody who's strong don't look and wait for other people to appease their insecurity and their jealousy. Somebody who's strong deals with their own shit, fix themselves, and move on. And because these women are not fixing themselves, they keep attracting the same guy, because these women date a certain type of guy, and these certain type of guys comes with these behaviors and these traits. And because they're not checking themselves, then they miss the mark. They're going so fast that they miss the mark. And this is the thing that they keep on doing. And when it goes sideways, then they blame all men and said, "Oh, it's the man problem." And what happened is, then they join the feminist movement, start to get downloaded feminist information, and they take it out there in the world, and then they become toxic, and then no man wants to be with them, and their relationships are very, very short. If they're lucky, they make it to a month. Most of these women don't even have a relationship that lasts for a year. That's how bad it is, because these women, like I said, they master the art of dying alone. Because what these women are going to do eventually, these women are going to die alone, because they are not paying attention to themselves. And the feminist movement helps push that movement. The feminist movement embolden and empower that statement of dying alone, because they are doing everything to do that. Because the feminist movement is not telling them to look at themselves. The feminist movement is not telling them to get therapy. The feminist movement is not telling them that it's not the man's fault, it's their fault. The feminist movement is telling them what their ego wants to hear. So what they do is they continue that bad behavior. And because they haven't learned anything from the last relationship, they go in the next relationship doing the same thing. Because what some of these women tell their friends is, when their friend in a relationship and the relationship goes into the doghouse, what their friends do say, the first thing the friend says to them is, "What did he do to you?" And what they're doing, either on a subconscious or a conscious level, implying that they're a victim by saying, "What did he do to you?" And then what these women do is, they assume the victim role and start playing the victim role by start explaining and start to giving a reason why the relationship ended. And when you start doing that and you become the victim, you will not change nothing. Why would you change anything when you feel you didn't do anything wrong? Why would you change anything when he did it and it's his fault? If it's his fault, then why would you change anything? You don't need to change anything, because you've been lied to and you've been delusional, and you think that everything that's done to you is everybody's fault, because a lot of these women are out-directed. They pay attention to what's going on the outside and miss the most important thing, is what's going on the inside. And because they miss that kind of, to make that correlation between themselves and what's going on, they do the same thing over and over and over and over again till eventually time run out. They're older, they're so bitter and so angry that no man will touch them with a 10-foot pole because he can see a toxic woman coming from a mile off. She's bitter, she's angry, she's jaded, and every man is out there is responsible for who she is. Every man who's responsible for why she is the way she is. And anybody with half a brain knows that nobody is responsible for your happiness, nobody is responsible to make you whole, and nobody is responsible to love you. All of those things you have control over. You can make yourself happy, you can make yourself whole, and you can love yourself. Because if you don't have those things, don't expect anybody out there to love you and to do anything for you, because at the end of the day, nobody has to do shit. It's all on you. So before you start going around and blaming man and say the man do this and the man do this, why not turn the mirror around and back at you at once? Why not have some me time? Oh, well, a lot of you can have a me time because most of you are going to die alone anyway. So use that me time when you're waiting to die alone and pay attention to yourself. Because your last 10 relationship, they all were saying something unanimously that you missed because you're so focused on what they are doing. So that's why a lot of these women are going to die alone, because you're not learning that their behaviors and what the feminist movement is doing is ensuring that they're going to die alone. Because a lot of these bitter, angry women in the feminist movement, they want company. Misery love company. And when you're young and attractive, they're going to work 10 times harder than you because you have a much better chance of getting a man than they do. So they work on the pretty, sexy girls that who join the feminist movement because their boyfriend cheated on them. They go to work on these women. These women become bitter, angry, and jaded. And then, you know what would happen to these women? They end up dying old and alone. After a while, the pretty looks go and wrinkles start to pop up and the shape start to fall off shape, and then that's it. You're going to die alone. And that is why feminist women, the women who are feminists, master the art of dying alone, because they haven't figured the art of working on themselves. All right, so that's what I have to say on this topic. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you have any comment, drop a comment in the comment section below, and I will see you on the next video.